I am so pumped about everything that's happening at the Proximity Conference. Sending my love to the Message Trust, the Eden Network, all you great folks over there in the UK. I unfortunately can't make it this year, but I'm already conspiring and plotting to get over to the UK really soon, so I can't wait. But I want you to know I'm thinking of you as you meet. I'm over here in the US, of course, and got our little bus behind us. I thought I'd mix it up a little. I get tired of all these screens. So this is our solar powered school bus, composting toilet, got a blacksmithing shop on the back where we can turn guns into garden tools. Little mobile revolution right there. But the only better place to be than sunny North Carolina would be rainy England, I guess. But I'm really missing y'all. But sending my love. And you know, this idea of proximity, the great divide, Jesus bridging the gap is obviously my heartbeat. You know, when I read the gospel, it's the whole story of Jesus is about God leaving the comfort of heaven to join the struggle here on earth, right? God, Jesus coming in flesh. One of my neighbors says, sometimes we'll make it too complicated, and Spanish is her first language. She says, when you order your burrito con carne, it means with meat. And she's like, that's what the incarnation is. God with meat, God with skin on, love fleshed out. And we see that God's love is coming to the margins of society, not the centers of power, but Jesus comes to us in the body of a brown-skinned Palestinian Jewish refugee, coming from a town where people said nothing good could come, all the way to the cross where he's executed to show us God's love on full display. God's solidarity with those who are hurting in the world. And now we're invited to follow Jesus to those abandoned places. And you know, I'm convinced that one of the great struggles in the church, one of our biggest problems is not just a compassion problem, but a proximity problem, right? It's a geography thing. It's a relational thing that it's not that we don't love the poor, but that we don't know the poor. And everything in this world is pulling us away from neighborhoods where there's high crime, or there's people that don't look like us, or those very neighborhoods that God is moving into and moving in. Christians are really good at moving out of. There's a song Derek Webb wrote. It basically said, God's been good. I've finally been able to move out of Jesus' neighborhood. But the momentum, the gravity of the gospel should take us towards the suffering, towards the hurting of the world. I think of that beautiful passage in Luke of the rich man and Lazarus, right? The parable Jesus tells where the rich man lived in luxury and the poor beggar Lazarus is right outside on the other side of the wall. And the rich man lived in a gated world. And yet he found, you know, that this insulation from the suffering of the world, not only did it separate him from the poor and from the Lazaruses of the world, but it separated him from God. He had locked himself into hell. Sometimes I think the more walls, I'm going there, more walls we have on our border, the more gates we have, the more cubicles that separate us from people, we find that we're separating ourselves from the very thing we're made for, to love and to be loved. So the invitation is to get outside of that, those places where the things we hide behind, and to realize that that wall, that divide, it wasn't good for the poor man Lazarus, but it wasn't good for the rich man either, because we're made for love. We're made for relationship. And in the end, you know, I look at that, at Jesus' final account of the judgment, Matthew 25, and incidentally, it's not a doctrinal test. You know, as much as we wish it were, maybe, that God's not going to ask us virgin birth, agree, disagree, or strongly disagree, but God's going to ask us, when I was in prison, did you come visit me? When I was a stranger, did you welcome me in? When I was hungry, did you feed me? Come on, somebody. That the real test of our faith is how it worked itself out in compassion and love and relationship to the least of these, the most marginal people in the world. And I love how Jackie Pollinger, I've done a couple events with her, and she always says, our works don't earn our salvation. Our works demonstrate our salvation. And so in the end, if it's not good news to the poor, it's not the gospel of Jesus. If it's not about welcoming the immigrant and the stranger and caring for the homeless, it's not Christianity. It may be something else, but the real test of our faith is how it matters to the most vulnerable people in our society. So thank y'all for being proximate. Thanks for bridging that divide. And I'm excited about all the voices you're going to hear from. Sorry I can't be there this year, proximity, but I'll see you soon. Love you.